Welcome back. Today's the big one. Mother's Day weekend, planting all the good stuff. We got tons of peppers that are gonna go out, along with Cape marigolds, artichokes, basil, who's looking very unhappy, but he'll be a lot happier once he's in the ground. Eggplants, Nicotiana, that came along great. I was really skeptical in the beginning of the year, but very happy with this. Can't wait to see what it looks like. All the dahlias, we grow them from seed every year to kind of just see what you get. A lot of fun. Lots of like little bushy marigolds. And then the classics, we got our tomatoes and then our Cracker Jack marigolds. We're gonna grow up the middle. So to get started, I wanted to show you how I'm doing the tomatoes down this cattle panel this year. I still have to clear out some spinach and some carrots and all kinds of other stuff, which I'll do in a little while, but this is already clear, so we'll get started. And I wanted to show you how I plant the tomatoes. There's so many different ways you can do it. You know, on the internet, you'll read 1,000 different ways. Some people will tell you to like trim these bottom stems off and bury it deep. Others will just say bury it flush. I've always just kind of been burying it flush. First off, it's easier. And second off, I don't really notice that much of a difference. Now, the one time I would say you make an exception is if your seedlings are looking a little rough, like this Jersey Devil. For whatever reason, this variety specifically, every year, you can see the bottom leaves are just really just hanging on for dear life. So I'll pull those off because they're gonna die anyway. And this one I will bury a little deeper, like to right here. Otherwise, everything else looks great, all the other tomato plants, and this happens every year. For whatever reason, the Jersey Devil, it grows great in the garden, but as a seedling, it just always suffers a little bit. And I'm wondering if it's because maybe this is a Jersey variety. Maybe it's conditioned to like more sand and needs more drainage, which you don't really get in a pot, but you do get in a raised bed. So maybe I'll try adding some sand to the seedlings next year and see if that does anything. Because, you know, Jersey's more sand and Pennsylvania's more clay. Everything else, these are the, what we got here? This is the Cherokee Purple, and then we got the Black Crim. These are our beefsteaks. They're gonna go here. And then down the line, I'll plant the rest, and then I'll do a walkthrough and show you everything I planted later. I'll show you how to do the peppers as well. But to get started with the tomatoes, so this is a new thing for me this year. I'm gonna grow it up this cattle panel here and do Cracker Jacks in between them. I like 2-foot spacing. So this is a 4-foot bed. So I'll do it a foot off of each. Got my handy yardstick here. And I'm gonna plant it really close to the cattle panel. So that'll be the first one. And here's the second one. And that should leave plenty of space for them on either side to grow. And then from there, it's just digging a hole and popping it in. And then we'll fill in the Cracker Jacks after we get the tomatoes. And I like to make sure that they are how I want them. So I like to pretty much get all the soil I can. You can see it's got a really good root ball. Comes out nice. It rained yesterday, so they're already watered in. The soil's nice and wet. I'll still water these later on, but probably could get away with not even bothering with that. And this soil, you can see it's really nice. This is year 3 of these beds, so this is just really developed. So I'll just loosen it up, and you want to get it about as deep as the plant, and then just get that guy in there. Push him down, get it all around. And that's that. Normally, if you're like stringing him up, now's the time to do it, to tie it down at the root ball. But I'm gonna work him through the cattle panel this whole season. Make sure you mark them. And there you go. This is our Jersey Devil. He's gonna go somewhere else later where he'll be happy. And then over here, Black Crim, same thing. What's nice is like it's so much work to get these plants going in the spring, so much maintenance, so much watering, hardening off. It's a whole process. Even just sowing the seeds is a little tedious, although in the beginning of the year, you're pretty excited to do it. This time of year, you're just ready to get things in the ground and let the garden do the job. And happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. All right, he's in there looking good. Snug down around. Just like that, 2 tomato plants in the ground. And now what I'll do is put these Cracker Jacks in. So these get real tall. I think these get about 3 feet or so. So they'll get up to like here. And I'm just gonna put one on either side of these tomatoes. I'm gonna do 2 in the middle. That's probably aggressive, but that's how I always do it. A little too much. And same concept. Again, great root balls. These look really super healthy. Really happy about that. And now we have the alyssum here, and this is actually coming along nicely. Real small in the cells, but just being out here, this is like, I've only planted this a week ago, and it's already looking good, and it takes off, so. Okay, so we're gonna do the marigolds kind of in line with the T-post here, over there, and then in the middle, I'll just try and split the difference here in the middle. And again, it's probably too much. These branch out pretty good. But the plan is, once this tomato plant grows up, they start to fruit off their little branches here. And once the fruit is harvested, that branch is really no longer needed. So you pull that branch off. So it's gonna open a lot of space up down here. So that's where the marigolds will come in and fill that up with flowers and hopefully pollinators and give you a much more productive tomato plant, as well as hopefully keep some pests down. So that's my dog. So that marigold's planted. We'll just continue down the line here. And again, I kind of wind these guys into the cattle panel. I did that last year. I had cherry tomatoes here last year and it worked out really good. You could probably just let them be on their own. Maybe you'd want to use like a tomato cage. They do get big. But I was going to say it's just a flower. It's not just a flower, but it is. It doesn't provide anything besides a flower, but it does a lot more other good for your garden. So you try to take care of them the best you can. They don't need much, just water really. I don't fertilize these besides what's already in the garden. So and just like that, we have a bed of beefsteak tomatoes planted up with some marigolds. I'm gonna clean these beds out, get the rest of the tomatoes planted, and then we'll start on the peppers. And at the very end, I'll just do a walk through the garden, show you where everything's planted, all the eggplants and everything, as well as all the flowers I just mentioned. They're going all over the yard, so get a little yard tour maybe too. So I'm gonna get rocking here and we'll be back in a minute. All right, next up are the peppers, and we have a bunch of varieties this year. So I usually try to group them in terms of hot or sweet. That way, if my wife comes outside to harvest some peppers, she's not picking a kind that's gonna hurt her. So this bed is more of the sweet peppers, and I have them already spaced out. I didn't end up doing 2 feet. I tried my best. So I only have 3 feet here to the herbs. So it's about 18 inches spacing here, but it will be 2 feet spacing vertically. So it'll be a lot more space than I gave them last year. So it's gonna work out just fine. And then this year I'm doing 2 Corno di Toros, which are an Italian sweet pepper, kind of like a bell pepper. They grow a lot more productive than bell peppers, especially here. So I grow them in place of bell peppers. Fresno peppers, you probably see them in the grocery store. The red peppers are always next to the jalapenos. I love them. They're great in salsas. Never grew them before, so that's a new one for us. The cherry peppers, I always hope they're gonna do better than they do. And every year I plant them and disappointed, but maybe this year is the year. And then over here, another new one is a Cubanelle, and then the classic Big Jim. So the Big Jim is a New Mexican chili pepper. Gets to be a huge plant. I may actually swap him with the Cubanelle. I'm not sure how big the Cubanelle gets. I think they get pretty big too, but they're a sweet pepper. And then these peppers will go in the bed behind the camera, and I'll plant them in a minute. Scotch bonnet, that's for hot sauce. Habanero, that's for hot sauce. 2 jalapenos. I like to do all kinds of stuff with jalapenos. They're my favorite pepper. Salsas, you can roast them, just salads, salsas obviously. Serrano pepper, they're really good pickled. And then the cayenne, they're really productive. Dry them out, you have your own cayenne peppers. Way more flavorful than the stuff you get in the store. And that's it. So they'll be in that bed over there. And then just like the tomatoes, I mean, the planting is the easy job. So I like to kind of get things positioned first so I kind of know what I'm doing. Make a little mark in the soil. This soil is really loose, so it's super easy to plant things. Great root ball again. Always pays to grow your own peppers. I was at the grocery store yesterday and I actually saw tomato plants for $3 and I was really surprised. That is a great price. If you haven't grown your stuff from seed, you can find deals out there still. So around us, if you go to the Home Depot, you're probably paying like at least $5, probably closer to $8. And when I'm planting, I don't really dig out if I don't have to. I kind of just scoop the soil out of my way and then fill in around. And that's it. Super simple. Corn de Toros in the ground. And then we'll move on. The cherries, I'm rooting for you, cherry pepper. Do something. Every year. You know, you go to the supermarket, you get like those stuffed cherry peppers, the prosciutto and the provolone, and I'm like, how do they grow the peppers to make it be able to fit these things? Because these are always so small every year, not very productive. I'm sure it's something I'm doing, so if anyone has any tips, I'm open. All right, he's in. This is our Cubanelle. I'm actually gonna switch him over here because I know the big Jim plant gets really big and I don't wanna crowd out the bean area. Or this might be cucumbers, I forget what I said. And the Cubanelle may still do that as well, but I know the big Jim will, so we'll find out about the Cubanelle. And just like with the lettuces and stuff, I'm gonna come through later and pop a little trash can guy on top. The squirrels will absolutely rip that out of the ground. My unbroken down compost. It's all right, it'll break down this season. Oh, that stick. How'd that get in there? Okay. Big Jim. Big worm. Good sign of soil health. And then one more, and this bed's done. So it can go pretty fast if you prepare yourself, get yourself all set up ahead of time, have a plan. The plan is like the biggest thing. Know what you want to do with your garden, so you're not out here in the sun trying to figure it out, burning your brain cells out in the heat. There you go. We're all planted up in this bed. I'll get the other bed in a minute, and then we'll be on to the flowers. So hopefully you tried some new varieties of peppers this year too, and everything's a success. Okay, this is a day later because we finished all that planting and then rain rolled in, which is kind of perfect, makes watering easier. So I'm gonna take you on a walk through the garden here, see what we have growing. All the tomatoes are in, all the peppers are in. We did the basil, the marigolds, did the eggplant. It takes like about a week or two for the plants to start to get happy once you put them in the ground, I find at least, especially in the spring when it's kind of cold at night still. So I'm gonna probably fertilize with some liquid fertilizer later this evening. And yeah, so let's do a quick walkthrough and we'll see what's going on. Okay, let's start in this bed here. We didn't plant much up in this bed the other day, but we do have our beets coming in and they're getting hit by the spinach leaf miner. Zoom in for you there. And you can see the little squiggles. It just affects the leaves. It may affect how large the beets get if they get too beat up, but if you cover them, you won't have that problem if you like to eat the beet tops. Fennel's coming in nicely now. Potatoes made a complete rebound, so they're looking really good. Really happy with that. And then over here, we actually planted up a bunch of stuff. This is our eggplant. Looking a little rough for wear, but he was when we put him in the ground. Got another one right there. Fertilizer will definitely help out. And then we got our pepper plants. And these are the hot peppers, so they're pretty small. They take a while to get going, especially this time of year. But once the heat rolls in, they'll be doing a lot better. So more peppers over here. These are the sweet pepper plants. And I did some like random marigolds here. I just had a bunch of marigolds sitting around. So I kind of just put them where I could. Lettuce is coming in nicely. Same as the celery. Look at this. Very slow, but once they start going, they're going to take off. Here's our carrots that we started earlier this year. Probably need to thin those. Definitely need to thin those. This marigold actually has a little flower going. These potatoes bounce back too. Looking really good. Really full. And then over here, onions. It can be hard to see. It's very bright out today. Try and get under the net here. Onions. Looking pretty good. They were pretty rough when I put them in. They're looking a lot better now. Scallions, they look pretty good too. And then we got our basil. Marigold. This is just like a lemon drop marigold. He's a smaller one. And then the Cracker Jacks are the tall ones I planted here, so I'll kind of wind them through the arbor. And all our tomato plants. And the squirrels have been ruthless, so I'm really glad I had enough trash cans to put over top all this stuff. And then, yeah, right down the line, I kind of did the same planting the whole way down. So you have Cracker Jack, tomato, Cracker Jack, tomato, Cracker Jack, and then a little lemon drop in the middle, and then 2 basils. The basil will eventually bolt, and I'll replant stuff in front there. And then the last bed here. Our garlic's looking really good, really solid. Same over here. We have a little more time before I want to plant up along this side of the arbor, so I'm curious to see if we get a little better of a harvest with the carrots here than we did for the ones that I pulled over here. And then over here we have our cabbages, and the Napa cabbage is the one that's looking, let me get this out of the way, looking the best here. He looks real full. Other guys are a little smaller and behind, but that's all right. They'll catch up. The red one, I'm not so sure in the back there. He looks pretty, he's just tiny. And then we got another bed over here, more cabbages, doing really good, just a little slower. But they start to take off, especially when the heat comes in. So yeah, we're rolling here. So next thing to really do is figure out my plan for what I want to plant down this side here, and then just start harvesting. So hope your garden's doing well. Hope you got out there over the Mother's Day weekend and got stuff planted out if you're in Zone 7A, and we'll catch you next week.